Hello, beautiful people. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Oluchi Iman. On this channel, I talk about cake business and I teach you digital skills that will help you stand out globally. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a very important event that happened in my life. Yes, I baked this cake that you can see right here for 2 hours plus. I mean, 2 solid hours. I'm going to be sharing with you what happened. If you've ever experienced this, then this video is for you. And if you've not experienced it yet, then you want to stick around because you can't tell what might happen. So if it does happen to you, you know what to do. Okay? So you know how we do it. To get something to eat, drink, relax, and I'll be right back. You're welcome back. Yes, so let's get right into the video. I baked this cake. This is a vanilla 8-inch cake. As you can see right here, it is baked. But it took me 2 solid hours plus to get there. What happened that I baked this cake? Normally, let me just give you a background. For those of you who've not watched maybe my videos on how I bake my cake, I've shared how I bake my vanilla cakes, how I work with my oven temperature, what works for me. If you've not seen those videos, I would link them later somewhere in this video, maybe in the description box, so that you can check them out. So for my vanilla cakes, I bake for, let's say, 90 minutes. I bake for 90 minutes. So I start with preheating my oven, and then I preheat my oven for 20 minutes, and then I put in my cake and allow it bake. And until the timer goes off, then I would add some more, maybe like 30 minutes to check it if it's done. 6 inches cakes would definitely take a shorter time to bake than 8 inches cake. So for 8 inches, when I add 30 minutes, if it's not done, I can do like 15 just to check. I'll just peek through or open it. If I see the middle is too jiggly, then I'll have to put it back in, but I have to wait for it to cross that mark. So recently, if I bake my vanilla cakes, especially because that's what's most often baked here, people really love vanilla cakes, and then mine is a 5-star vanilla cake. Yes, I dare say so. So I baked this cake, and then, or recently, like I said, when I put my cakes into the oven, I noticed that at the 1 hour mark, it is still not done. It would rise, but it will still not be done. So I usually wonder what is wrong. Something is definitely off here because it's supposed to be looking a certain way for me to add more time to it, but it's not be looking that way. But I'll still go ahead to add my time. And when that 30 minutes goes off, it is still not done yet. At least it will be looking brown on a good day. It should be looking brown. It should have risen to the top of my pan. I know the way it looks. So with this cake, it wasn't looking like that, and I was wondering what is happening. Add 15 more minutes, it doesn't get done. Add another 15 minutes, it will not get done, just like that. And I was wondering what is really happening. So it boils down to one thing: my oven temperature was not at optimum. It was not at the temperature that I bake with. Of course, the setting is fine, but the heating is not reflecting what I've set, if you get me. So I set it for 130, 140, and it won't work the same way. So meaning that my oven is due for servicing. It wasn't heating, and it wasn't the right temperature I was baking with, so to say, in quotes, because I did the right thing, set the right temperature for both of them, and then the oven will not be as hot as. So that is one thing that you want to check. So if you're baking your cakes and it's taking longer, apart from the fact that something might be wrong with your recipe, there could also be an issue with your oven. So that's one thing that you want to check and you will troubleshoot. Right now, there is really nothing you can do to fix it except calling the technician. Back in the day, it would be easy for me to just ring my technician, call them, and they will come over to service it. And I've shared a video of that as well. I shared the process while I was still back in Nigeria of my oven servicing. Right now, I'm using a different type of oven, but I can't do anything to fix it. So we have had to ring our landlord to call the technicians to come and check, service it, and to make sure it's working fine. So that is why it took that long for these cakes to get baked. If you're having that issue and you have maybe different batches of cake to bake so that you don't bake that long and use up all your resources, and of course you not use it all up, but so that you save yourself and conserve resources, another way you can tackle this is to use a heating core. So you can have a heating core just as you can see, or you can use a flour nail. I think they call it a flour nail, which you put right in the center of your pan before you pour your batter in. If you do that, your cakes would get done. At least they won't take so long. They might still take long, but you won't risk having your cake not done in some certain areas, especially in the middle, because the baking starts from the outer corners, bakes from the outside, and then it gets to the middle. That's why when you bring out your cake and it's not done, you find that the middle is still shaky, still jiggly when you bring it out of your oven. So these are two things that you can do. The third thing is to look for somewhere else to bake. So you can look for a friend's place. You can ask a friend. You can ask a neighbor, depending on where you live. You can ask someone else, maybe a family member, and then go there to bake your cakes in the meantime. That is if you are short timed and you really have to get the cakes baked and done. So that was what I did in my own case. I had to call a friend who graciously and fortunately allowed me to bake with her oven. And I'm very, very grateful to her up until today. Let me not fail to mention that when I got to my friend's place, I had to study the oven. So I had to study it. I got the name and the brand of the oven. I checked online. I checked Google and to see the settings, what it meant, because it was definitely different from mine. And then I was able to put two and two together. Of course, my friend is not a baker. I was able to put two and two together and figure out this is what it will work. So I retained my baking temperature, but the other setting, I had to tweak it, or I had to use what was recommended via Google. So if you have to do that, don't just say, oh, it's going to work for me. Like I said, ovens are different, temperatures are different, settings are different. So you have to see what works for you. And it took a while to bake, but I finally got there at the end of the day. So don't just rush. I'm going to use somebody else's oven. I'm going to do this. Ensure that you are checking online, check for the manual online, and ensure that you are using the right temperature. Okay. So that's one thing you want to do. And I thought to share. So just in case you bake and it's taking unusually long, these might be the issues and these are the things, or this might be the issue and these are the things that you can do to tackle that problem. And I hope it helps. The cake is here. Look at it. All baked nice and fine. But I thought to share my experience because sometimes it can be really bad. I knew I had to throw one batch away. And it's also affected one of my cakes in the past before where I had to it was just soggy and then wet and all of that. Okay, the one that I had to throw away was that I was looking for a solution. So I checked on TikTok and I saw while I was looking for the substitute of a heating core, I was looking for the substitute of a heating core or a flour mill, and I saw that somebody used the spoon to bake her cake. And I tried it and it came out disastrous. So you don't want to try that, or except you know how to make it work. So I thought to share this my story just in case you fall into this kind of situation, you know what is happening most likely and then how to troubleshoot. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I hope that you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it. Please drop a cake emoji in the comments if you found it valuable, and don't forget to like, to engage, to share with those in your caking community. All right, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. You know, I always answer to my comments. I know. Thank you very much. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the flowers. Until I see my next video, stay happy, stay safe, and stay blessed. Bye.